Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Victoria Nalule, and I'm live. And today, I really want to talk about the complexity of achieving SDG 7, which is focused on energy access. So, uh, in my first book, the first book I ever wrote, it was with respect to energy access in sub-Saharan Africa, where I explored the role of regionalism. So the book focuses on energy access. We talk about energy access in detail, and it was inspired by my PhD research. So yeah, this is a topic that I'm really, really interested in, the topic on energy access. But most people might think that SDG 7 is a very easy thing to achieve. But in today's discussion, I just want to explore how hard or how complex it is to actually achieve SDG 7 on energy access. So, reliable data shows that very many people lack access to modern energy. And in sub Saharan Africa, that number is estimated to be 600 million people who do not have access to modern energy. So, at this juncture, you need to first understand what is modern energy and how can you distinguish it from traditional energy, because that is very key to really understand SDG 7 on energy access. So, modern energy can be distinguished from traditional energy depending on the types of energy people are relying on. For instance, with respect to modern energy, you'll see many people relying on electricity for lighting, uh, gas for cooking, and then for traditional energy, most people will rely on candles for lighting and maybe firewood for cooking. So that is the basic distinction between modern energy and traditional energy. But remember, access to energy or SDG 7 is not all about the energy we use socially. You also have to think about the energy that people have to use for industrialization. So that will take us to issues of access to diesel, access to enough energy to run the industries, to run the transport sector. That is all part of energy. So when talking about SDG 7, first you need to distinguish the issues of traditional energy and modern energy, and you also have to distinguish the issues with respect to the use of energy. Is it for domestic use or is it for commercial use? That is very important. And the second part is very important, especially for developing countries, because you cannot just have energy for domestic use. You also have to ensure that you have enough energy for commercial use. You have enough energy for the transport sector, enough energy for the industries, enough energy for the hospitals. All that is part of energy. So just from that background, you understand that SDG 7 is not something that is very easy to achieve, as most people might argue or even might think. Now, taking that aside, moving forward, we notice that when you're talking about energy access, you need to ensure four main things. First, issues of access itself. And by access, you have to think about uh, issues of infrastructure development, the energy infrastructure in place. Is there enough energy infrastructure to enable people to access that modern energy? For instance, when you're talking about electricity, you have to think about the electricity transmission lines. Are the countries equipped with enough energy transmission lines to ensure that all the people, even in rural areas, have access to electricity? Now, energy infrastructure, it's a very, very expensive venture. It requires lots of capital, which in most cases is beyond the reach of the governments. So this is another complex in itself. How do you get the investments to ensure that you have enough energy infrastructure? Moving forward, besides the electricity transmission lines, you also have to think about issues of refineries. Does the country have enough oil refineries in the in to be able to be able to address the increasing demand for the products, energy products. Another important thing is the issue of oil and gas pipelines. These also play a big role if you're to ensure energy access in different countries. So that is one complexity with respect to the issue of access itself, the energy infrastructure. Is it enough? Do you have enough finances? So you see, it's not as easy as most people might think that, oh, SDG 7 is access to electricity or access to energy. It's more than that. Now let's go to the other issue. Besides access, you have to ensure that the aspect of reliability. If you have access to this energy, as most developed countries actually have access to electricity or have access to modern energy. So the issue would be, is this energy reliable? Or are you going to reach a certain situation or a certain stage whereby people cannot actually rely on that energy? We see lots of countries that don't have a reliable energy. For instance, people might have electricity, but it's not reliable. People might have access to the LNG or gas, but it's not reliable. And this issue of reliability, actually, it's also connected with respect to issues of energy security, because reliability is very key. Where are you getting your energy from? Are those countries able to keep supplying? Now, if you look at what is happening with the global energy crisis, if you're following the Russian crisis, Russia and Ukraine, and the impact it has had on the energy sector in Europe, that is an issue of reliability, and it's also connected to energy security. Yes, you have access, but is it reliable? Are your suppliers able to keep supplying you with the energy you need? So that is very key. Who is giving you that energy, and can you rely on them 100% that you'll be able to access that energy? Now, moving forward, there's also a very important aspect of affordability. So if you have access to that energy, like we mentioned, and the energy is reliable, is it affordable? Can the ordinary people pay for that energy and they will not feel like the pain of paying too much high bills, electricity high bills, or energy high bills? So that is very important, because at the end of the day, even if you have access to energy and it's reliable, but people cannot afford it, then what is the importance of having that energy if people cannot afford it? So that's also a very important issue. And then the last one is the issue with respect to sustainability. So how sustainable is the type of energy you're using? Now, this issue of sustainability coupled with affordability is very important, because now it takes us to the SDG 13 on climate change. Can you tackle climate change and at the same time ensure that people have access to affordable energy, people have access to reliable energy, and have access to sustainable energy? Would it be possible to achieve SDG 7 and at the same time achieve SDG 13? Because remember, it's not just access to electricity, it moves beyond that. So, this is just a short video to introduce you to the SDG 7, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time to take my time to explain to people how complex it is to achieve SDG 7. In the next video, I'll be talking about the connection of SDG 7 or energy access to other United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goals, including SDG 1 on poverty eradication. And once we have a clear understanding as to why SDG 7 is very important, we'll have a clear understanding on how to move forward in achieving other SDGs, including SDG 13 on climate change. Because in most cases, misconceived concepts always lead to misconceived solutions. And we're seeing it right now. People sometimes don't understand what they're talking about, or we do not understand what we are talking about. And as a result, we end up rushing to make policies, to make decisions that are misconceived. And it makes it hard to achieve all these global goals that policymakers and other international organizations keep setting up. Now we can ask ourselves what happened to the Millennium Development Goals? Were they ever achieved? Is it an issue of misconceived concepts that led to misconceived solutions? So I'm going to take some time off to really unpack the key subtopics in my book. I don't have the book with me right now. I'm in my office. I forgot the book at home, but I'll be able to share with you the book. It's the title is Energy Access in Sub-Saharan Africa: The Role of Regionalism. So in the next video, I'll be talking about the connection between SDG 7 and other United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So watch out for the video and do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Victoria Nalule. It has over 140 videos, and I'm going to work very hard to ensure that we reach 200. So that's it. And don't forget to buy my books. So, and also remember, I'm a consultant or the CEO of Nalole Energy and Minerals Consultancy, that is Name Energy. So involve us in consultancies. And also you can join me at the University of Bradford, where I am currently. So I do lecture climate change and natural resources law. So bye-bye, and hope with this short video you understand that SDG 7 is not as simple as people might think. It is something that is hard to achieve, so we need to be very strict with respect to the solutions we're putting forward. That's it. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.